Madame, Messieurs, tout d'abord, je vous remercie au nom de International Displacement Monitoring Center pour cette invitation à participer à la 12e édition du Forum PlanetA. Excusez-moi, but I have to continue this presentation in English because I don't speak French. But thank you very much for this invitation. And in this short presentation, I want to share with you 3 key ideas. The first one, it's about our mandate and as the International Displacement Monitoring Center. The second one, I want to share with you the key figures and data about natural hazards that right now are causing displacement and internal displacement. And finally, I want to present you our research about slow onset disasters. The Internal Displacement Monitoring Center, IDMC, has 3 mandates. The first one is to monitor globally the number of IDPs, internal displaced people. What is an IDP? Is that person or group of persons that, due to the conflict, due to violence or natural hazards, that is the most important in this forum, they have to flee their homes, their houses, but they remain within the same countries. They don't cross any border. After we have this analysis, this monitoring this data, we analyze the drivers, the patterns, and the impacts of the displacement, and finally we have a department of advocacy. Here, in the blue points, you can see the new displacement of disasters in 2018. And I can share with you later, but here is our global report on internal displacement. There you can find all the data disaggregated by countries and by regions. The most important data that I want to share with you today, 16.2 million people were displaced last year by disasters. Another key figure is that 16.1 million people were displaced by floods, hurricanes, droughts, etc. By region, by countries, Philippines, China, and India were the countries with most new displacement by disasters, natural hazards in 2018. And by regions, we can see East Asia and the Pacific, following by South Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, and then the Americas. Also, I want to share with you our research analysis, in this case about slow onset disasters. I'm going to Ethiopia next week to research about droughts and how droughts cause displacement nowadays in regions as Somali region in Ethiopia, but I'm going to Somalia in September and Kenya. Why droughts nowadays? Because drought trigger more displacement than the ongoing conflict in Afghanistan in 2018. And I'm gonna pass some slides, but this kind of infinite domino that we can find here. We have an arid scenario, number 1, is a scenario exposed and a fragile context. Then we have a wet scenario with good weather conditions. And finally, we have the same scenario as scenario number 1, but here we have investments, infrastructures, disaster risk reduction capacities, and irrigation. The objective, because all the 3 scenarios are affected by meteorological drought, only the first scenario is affected by an agricultural drought and a humanitarian crisis. The objective is to move from scenario number 1 to scenario number 3. I'm going to some slides because I have only 2 more minutes. We are working also in regions that are affected by violence and by conflict. This is a great point to take into account. Ethiopia had the highest levels of displacement by conflict and violence in 2018, with 2.9 million new displacements. And finally, I want to share with you the whole picture about how droughts and how conflict provoke displacement. You can see here in the blue line at the bottom that the conflict produced displacement directly. But in the middle, we have droughts. How droughts influence in the crop and livestock production, influencing in the food availability and in the livelihoods. We have a really great challenge about diversification of livelihoods and economic opportunities in these regions. And finally, food availability and livelihoods affects directly to the accessibility to the food. We already know that this is a food security problem, but it's not only a food security problem. It's not only a humanitarian problem, and then the solutions are not humanitarian. The solutions are political. Because in this vicious cycle, in this domino effect, we can find that the last consequence of droughts and conflicts is the displacement of agropastoralist and farmers' communities. Thank you very much again for your invitation. Here you have my contacts, and I bring a lot of executive summaries about our work in the IDMC. Thank you very much.